welcome to the Bo's Nose. I've got a couple special guests here with me from our High Q team. So who do we have with us today?
Okay. This is Paul Harvey.
And I'm James Hinch.
Great, thanks for joining us today. So the podcast starts out with the same three questions. So first one being, what is your favorite QI story or tradition?
Oh, shoot. I don't know. Probably my favorite tradition is where the seniors carry around like a bottle of syrup during the lip dubs that we have.
Mine's gotta be Powder Puff. I think that's just funny to dress up in a pink cheerleading outfit.
That's purple.
Awesome. So next question, if you could have coffee with anyone dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh, shoot. That's a good question. I don't know. That's a pretty good question. I think I would probably like to have coffee with probably George Washington, mainly because he's a pretty cool guy. Well, I kind of want to know how everything differed from like conflicts back then to how they are now, and if the country still had like a whole lot of the same problems that it has today back then, or worse or better. I don't know.
I would like to do with Theodore Roosevelt because I'm really big into nature, and he was also into nature, and I feel like we'd have a good conversation about wildlife and stuff.
Awesome. So last of our intro questions before we dive in. Quality, integrity, respect. Which one and why?
Quality, integrity, respect. I think respect would probably be my most important thing, mainly because nothing gets done without respect for a certain person, because say for example in a job, if you don't respect your boss, guess what, you ain't got much of a job. So
yeah, I would say integrity, because you can't be morally right without being without having integrity, because if you need integrity to get things done on time and on right and just right. So yeah,
very good. So we're going to jump in and talk about High Q. So why don't you start out with, tell us a little bit about what is High Q?
So High Q is an academic club, which is so they ask you questions off of like a list, and whoever buzzes in first, whichever of the teams, any of the people on the teams, whoever buzzes in first gets to take a guess at the question. And the questions vary widely. There's no set standard. So you could go from like a math question like, what's the quadratic formula, to, who was the leader of the 100 Flowers campaign? And Mao Zedong. But all right, James.
Yeah. We just divide into teams of 4 on each team. We have backup people we swap in. There's a whole point system where like each question is worth 5 points, and then team questions are worth 10 points. Interrupts are two taken away from the team. And there's a speaker, and he asks us the questions like Paul said.
So is this just at QI, or who do you compete with?
So to begin with, there's 3 teams in Putnam County that I know of. There's QI, which is us. There's Interlochen, which really doesn't have much of one. They just have a varsity team. I mean, not to flex or anything, but we kind of whooped them last year, like 331-10 or something like that. And then PHS, from what I hear, is starting one this year. And I don't know if Crescent City has one. But I forget exactly what all the matchups are, but I know that we go against Bradford County, Baker County, Columbia County, Union County, and that's just the ones that I can remember. But there's a whole lot of other counties. Like in the conference game that we held here, like all the schools from like North Florida, like we had people here from Vanderbilt, Creekside, all them schools out over there, and Ponte Vedra, all them.
Awesome. So High Q actually gives you the opportunity to really compete and get out there against other schools. So that's awesome. Mm-hmm. So why did the two of you choose to join High Q?
So it's kind of funny because I was out playing volleyball one day last year, and Mr. Theobald, their principal, came up to us and was like, "Oh, hey, Paul, got a question for you." And I think it was you and it was Lance and Luke, and they were standing with Mr. Theobald, and Mr. Theobald was like, "Hey, would you like to stay after school today?" And I was like, "For what?" And he said, "Oh, join a academic team." And I was like, Sure, I guess. And so I stayed after school that day, and I got interested in it, and here I am today. Better do it for a second year.
I was sitting in class, and I was doing what I normally do. I was just telling one of my friends about a stupid random fact, and they were like, "Hey," and then Reagan and Riley were like, "Hey, you should join Haikyuu because you say all these random facts all the time." And I was like, "Oh, all right." And then I joined, and I ended up liking it, and so now I'm here again.
That's great. So if anyone wants to join Haikyuu, how can they find out more information, and how can they be a part of it?
So, you can go see Miss Bose during like before school power hour to get more information. If you want to like join, then we have Then we're gonna have like little meetings every Tuesday after school. From what I understand, we may have a couple that's during power hour, but after school from 4 to 5, we have little practices, meetings, whatever, and you can just show up and join because that's how James joined.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, for our listeners, that is something to point out that's different from the other interviews you've heard, is this one's actually after school for, I believe, an hour, is that?
Yeah, around about that.
Yeah, for just an hour after school, so it's not the huge time commitment in the afternoon. But as you've heard, it seems to be something fun to be a part of. So what's your favorite part of the club?
So I really like So if you know me, you know, good old Paul Harvey, the cowboy hat wearing man at QI Roberts. I'm not exactly known for my intelligence, but you know, I joined Haikyuu and I found out like, oh, hey, I actually know a whole lot about certain stuff. Like I can do history, geography. Like I knew a whole lot more. I found out that I know a whole lot more than I thought I knew, which I thought was pretty funny.
I really enjoy the competition side of it. I like going and competing against other people, and I'm not really sports inclined, so when I found a team I could use my mind for, I really enjoyed being able to compete with that.
That's great. So on the competition aspect of it, how is the QI academic team?
Don't exactly really know how to say this without bragging, but I think that we're like the best.
Well, last year we won, I think, second place at the regionals competition, which was the first time for the JV in the history of QI at least. And so I'd say we're pretty good, yeah.
So anything else that you want to add about Haikyuu that people should know about it, or why they should join, or anything else?
Well, you know, reason why you should join, you know, many teachers might not exactly like this, but occasionally you can get out of your 6th and 7th period classes if you're going to away games. Like we went up to Baker County and McClenny, which is super close to the state of Georgia, and we got out like midway through 6th period to go up there, and you know, you can just leave class for it. So I find like that's a reason that I like about it. Like it's not a very integratable. I don't even know if that's a word. It's not a very good reason to like it, but.
Thank you, Paul and James, for being here and telling us a little bit about Haikyuu. Listeners, if you like the podcast, please be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you can catch future episodes. And be sure to give QI Roberts Student Government a follow on Facebook and Instagram to stay up to date on future episodes and happenings around QI. If you feel we've earned it, please rate and review us on your podcast player of choice and share with a friend. Thank you, Knights, and remember, excellence in all endeavors.